Toland was a technician who agreed with that, which is a fantastic thing. On the first day I arrived, I thought, after years of being a director in the theater, that the lights were set by the director, since they are in the theater. So I said, this is where it will be. Now let's move this light over here, and so on. I set the lights. Behind me, Toland was motioning to all the people, shut up, let him go ahead. And then balancing behind me without my knowing it, you see. I worked 5 days like that until somebody told me, and I realized what a terrible thing I'd been doing. And Toland was furious that I'd been told.
That's very interesting.
It's a great tribute to him, I think. And he said, you don't know what it means because you don't look at it from formula. So the minute I realized that, then I began asking for things which in my ignorance were impossible to do. Nobody ever asked. That I didn't intend as innovations. It just seemed to me that anything in a frame that you could look at, you ought to be able to do these things. So Toland said, let's go ahead and try. Now, under my contract, nobody could look at the rushes but me. If we ruined something, it didn't matter. Toland had that wonderful spirit, so we just went ahead and tried. So it was partly the great spirit of Toland, the fact that he was the greatest cameraman who ever lived and the fastest, and had that wonderful spirit, and partly my own ignorance. I didn't know what you couldn't do. I didn't deliberately set out to invent anything. It just seemed to me, why not? And there is a great gift that ignorance has to bring to anything, you know. And that was the gift I brought to Cain, was ignorance.
This is a slightly ticklish question. On the one hand, you have been quoted as saying that if you want to make a motion picture, you have to raise $1 million to do it. But on the other hand, you have, in terms of some of the reports one hears, been accused of being irresponsible towards those who have put up the $1 million, not being where you should be when you said you would be there. Is it fair to ask you for a reaction on that?
I've heard that over and over again. My answer is unanswerable to anybody who asks the question, because I always want the specific instance.
No, I can't.
And it can't be given.
Well, that's fair enough. I can't.
Can't be given. It's a reputation without any basis in fact at all. One of the basis of it is that I did a picture called Othello with my own money, and we had to do it with whatever money I could raise and stop until I raised some more. Now that took almost 4 years. Now there are still people today who say, I don't want to hire Wells as a director. It took him 4 years to make Othello.
On the other hand, you did Macbeth in 3 weeks, didn't you?
21 days, yes. And that was working for somebody, and the schedule was 23 days. I've never gone over schedule on a picture for a studio in my life. I've never gone over budget. That's a question of record.
You have demanded tremendous loyalty on the part of some of your actors in cases like this, and the extraordinary thing is that you always had it, haven't you?
Yes, been very lucky. Oh my, I've never had really a moment's disappointment from actors or any people like that. I've been so lucky in that respect. I've been miserably unlucky with producers and the money end of film production. I think genuinely unlucky. I think I've had a lot of real bad breaks. I'm not crying about it, but it's true. But I've had the most wonderful good breaks and the most wonderful thing that anybody could have from the people you work with, behind the camera and in front of it. I haven't got anybody I could complain of in all these years.
Do you think you'll ever again, in your lifetime, be given the opportunity to do another Citizen Kane?
But I think I'll be able to do it. I think I'll be able to do it on certain kinds of film that don't cost as much. I'll never be able to make an expensive picture that way. I'll never be given that chance. Nobody will. Everything's against it. But I do think that I have a chance of making some interesting films for smaller budgets with my own money, or a lot of it. I think that the film I've just finished is like that. I hope to make another one, but I don't expect anybody else will give it to me. I don't get jobs as a director. The only pictures they offer me, I can't accept. They're terrible.
I'll recommend you. What would
You should read the scripts they send.
Is it a fair question to ask you what you would most like to do?
Ever?
Ever.
I would like to do something which would leave at least the art form concerned or the profession better for my having done it.